All right, welcome back. Sports Moods. We've already covered everything from the NFL Week 5, recapping our picks and who's the guru of the NFL. We've talked about college football, the new top 10 standings, and some of the matchups to come for next week. We've already got into WWE Monday Night Raw. Now getting ready to dive into Smackdown Live. All right, welcome back. Sports Moods, 2 Moodies.
1 duty.
Sports. Right now we're getting ready to get into Smackdown Live right off of the 48 hours being removed from their Hell in a Cell exclusive pay-per-view. All the fallout of what took place at Hell in a Cell. Especially a lot of questions out there. People wondering why Sami Zayn did what he did.
Yeah.
And what his explanation will be for what he did. And so we had 2 Hell in a Cell matches. Also, our Hell in a Cell review is up and posted. For those of you who had not had a chance to check it out, please support us on that. Hear our thoughts and what kind of mood it put us in with some of the matches on Hell in a Cell, all that good stuff we talked about on that podcast. For you guys, wrestling fans who exclusively want to hear that,
With Hell in a Cell being talked about, I just wanted to. That's just for the Bobby Roode Dolph Ziggler match. I'm not going to get into the rest of it, but yeah. You can, like I said, you can watch it on our review that we did exclusively for Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, and I did upload it to Twitter on @SportsMoods. For those out there who want to follow us on social media, also it's @SportsMoods.
@ItSportsMoods.
@ItSportsMoods
On Instagram.
On Instagram.
The link for Spreaker is actually in the bio of our page on Instagram.
Cool. So, Smackdown Live. So, I labeled this as Tag Team Turmoil.
Definitely.
So, we kind of been hitting on how weak the tag team division has been for SmackDown. Obviously it's just been Usos and New Day. New Day and Usos just battling out for the last 3 or 4 months on SmackDown Live. So, as the Usos says, we got this tag team division on lock. So, and rightfully so, regaining their tag team championships back after a brutal Hell in a Cell match with New Day. So they come down to the ring, and they pretty much, you can see the ill effects as they're limping.
Yeah.
And, everybody coming out as if, I'm hurt.
I'm so hurt.
Trying to sell whatever it was they needed to sell.
I mean, they got hit with some good.
They did, so they could be legit, like in pain and hurt, But so they come down to the ring, kind of talking about some of the things that being inside of the Hell in a Cell did to them and how it made them feel. And they kind of was just like, the only other people who can kind of understand how we feel at this moment is the New Day. So, New Day, come down here. We got something we want to say to y'all. So, I kind of figured it was going to be, it went the way that it went.
Yeah.
So, New Day comes out, even though they hurt, they still gyrating.
Right. But you see Kofi coming out.
Kofi the one just
doing his little hopping and
he's
clapping.
like, well, everybody except for Kofi.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got Xavier Woods and Big E just, like, licking their wounds.
Pain.
So, they, gyrate on down to the ring or whatever. They get in the ring. And, the Usos kind of go into everything and, just talking about how brutal the match was and the things they went through. And my favorite part was when he was like, the cowbell? Man, you don't me, bro.
Cowbell.
You don't me, bro. Like, now that was funny when he said that. So, they work really well together in the ring, and then on the mic too.
Definitely,
they really do just that much. But they kind of feed off each other. So he's like, "Man, you done with me, bro." But just kind of talking about the kendo sticks and the stuff they use in the match and everything, and they kind of gave New Day their respect. Like, hey, we respect y'all.
Said that they're the two best teams.
Yeah, we're the two best teams. We are this tag team division, basically.
And the rest suck.
The rest just suck. Just basically kind of calling everybody else out. Like, we carried this division. And so, it was very funny. So, like, the New Day's like, are you calling for a Oos truce?
Yeah. Oos truce?
And then Big E's like, did we knock a screw loose?
Yeah.
Or like, are y'all realize what y'all saying? Like, because we hate your guts, you hate our guts. Right. And it's just like, is everything okay upstairs? Are you registering this, what you're saying? So then the Hype Bros come out. And it was just like, I love the way, I don't know if it was Jimmy or Jay.
Yeah.
The way he just shut him down.
Oh my
Like with the whole NFL comment. Like did you get down what he said exactly?
He said, I didn't get to write it down, but I know he took a shot on. I think he said something about like it being short as his NFL
career or something like that.
Yeah, it was really low.
And he was sitting there like really, like
it's like you really said that, huh?
And then the Hype Bros come out to state their claim. And then you get Chad Gable and Benjamin
American
coming out.
Beta.
American Beta comes out, and Chad Gable makes an excellent point. Like, hey, we just beat y'all, so y'all need to get to the back of the line.
Right.
Like, hey, y'all are not going to get a shot before us. We just beat you. So, and then that's when the Usos like, yeah, y'all need to Hype Bros. Y'all need to get to the back of the line.
Right.
Like, y'all need to get to the back of the line. So... And I was so glad to see Breezango come out. I was too. And they come out and they come down, and before they even get to say anything,
Ascension
come out, and they're like, "Why do y'all keep following us?"
That was fun. I like Tyler Breeze doing that.
He's like,
"Stop
following." So he's like, "Stop following us," and you just have all these tag teams out there trying to stake their claim as if we want it next. We want to be the next team.
Right.
And then, it comes down to it. Daniel Bryan.
Yes,
he comes out with his music. And he's sitting there. And he's just talking about, like, all these teams out here. And he's just telling, the Usos, like, he gave them their props for the match that they had.
He told them to get that.
But he's just like, get out of my ring.
Get out of my ring.
He's like, I'm like, you don't talk to them like that. I kind of got a feeling like,
I didn't understand that.
Like, don't be talking to the New Day. But
they should have been like, it's because we're black, isn't it?
But he's just like, I need you to get out of my ring. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like,
and so they kind of got out the ring. He's talking about, because right now we're gonna have
one of your favorite matches, man, a fatal 4-way tag match. How else are we gonna find out who's gonna be the number one contender? We don't have time to do tournaments. We might as well put everybody in the ring.
And that would stretch it out over the next couple weeks. So like, you could have had Breezango go against Gable and...
He got to build a storyline.
Or Ascension versus them, and whoever wins that next week will fight each other, and then whoever wins that match goes to face Usos to stretch it out.
I agree.
Instead of deciding it all in one night.
But what better way to make everybody in the locker room wrestle than to put them all?
But with tag teams we haven't seen in...
And this was an actual fatal 4-way. Like
it was.
Everybody was coming, like, not to get into the match, but it's one person had to win. It wasn't going to be an extra pinfall elimination.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing on this show.
Corey Graves didn't say, "Oh, apparently this is a real fatal 4-way."
Oh, matter of fact, like we did on Raw last night. I gotta give him props, man, because he done 3 nights in a row, Hell in a Cell, Raw, then Smackdown Live, commentating all those things back to back to back. Imagine him during the time of NXT. Like, because their pay-per-views on Saturday.
Yeah.
Then you got the big pay-per-view for the big brand on Sundays.
Right.
And then Monday Night Raw. Then
Tuesday,
SmackDown.
right.
He's going to be going on a 4-day, thing. So I got to.
Then NXT is on Wednesday too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So he just.
Yeah.
He's doing really well with that. But getting into the match, I'll let you kind of break down some of the things that you saw in that match.
Honestly, I think I kind of felt more like you during this. Like, it was just a fatal 4-way. It was a good match. I mean, you had some good spots. I didn't really write down any key things for me. They just had a good rally. I think the more complete team, surprisingly, considering how long the Ascension's been together and the Hype Bros have been together, the best rally or chemistry was between Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable both hit some pretty good spine busters. Actually, Shelton Benjamin hit a real good one on Victor, the big one in the Ascension. I thought that was a really good pop, and I feel like those two can have a good rivalry considering Shelton's weight versus Victor's weight, and then you have, I don't know the other guy, the Extension's name, versus Chad Gable. But like I said, they had the best rally for me, and then they pulled out the win in the end for it. So, what was something out of that you took out of it?
It was a good match. I kind of figured they would win it.
Yeah.
I really did think they would win it because you're trying to push this new tag team of him and Benjamin together. So I did like the way the Usos gave Shelton Benjamin a lot of respect. Like, Chad Gable, you was smart.
Right.
You went out there, you got a former IC champion, a former US champion, a former, whatever. So
tag champion.
Yeah, tag champion. So they did kind of give Shelton Benjamin his props on that, which I'm anxious to see how this is going to go with them. Chad Gable with his high-flying, freestyling type wrestling, and then you got the power of Benjamin now.
Which, honestly, to me, it just really looks like it's a different style, definitely, because Chad's an excellent wrestler, but it just reminds me of New Day. It reminds me of Xavier Woods and Big E. But Shelton Benjamin is, to me, he's taller than Big E, of course.
Yeah, and he can be a little bit more agile.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be a little bit more agile.
Yeah.
And so, but that's just the way, the size difference, it just reminds me of that, even though I know that this is two different caliber characteristics between the tag teams. So, I think, just by me saying that, I feel like their chemistry with the Usos is going to work really well. The Usos side, at least, they've dealt with that disparity of size and ability, but like I said, this is going to be a different and for me a harder amount of ability for them, because we're actually not only talking about two WWE wrestlers but actually two Olympic wrestlers as far as Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable.
So we do know now that Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, American Beta, are going to be the new number one contenders for the Usos Smackdown Live Tag Team Championship. So now it just leaves me to wonder where the New Day is going to fit in all of this. I guess we'll see in the coming weeks. But
my idea, they're going to either be the feud that'll help break up this Hype Bros thing, because even last night you saw that Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder wore two totally different outfits, even though they did still play together like the Hype Bros, the actual tag of old. But Zack Ryder came out with this kind of more high profile, like he tried to really solidify himself away from Mojo Rawley last night. Not in how he reacted, but they did have a little spot where one bumped into each other. I think somebody pushed Zack Ryder onto Mojo's back. Mojo got upset, and then one of the Ascension pushed Mojo back into Zack Ryder. But they didn't they didn't have a chance to back into that rivalry from there. But I feel like New Day would be the person that kind of plays them apart to think of where they'll go next. That's just my idea.
Yeah, it could be. Since you probably won't have them feuding for the tag team belts again,
right?
For a little while,
at least not until Survivor Series or Royal Rumble.
No, something meaningful like a big pay per view. Then the next thing we saw was Becky Lynch and Carmelo. I know we did see like a brawl in the back between Charlotte and Natalya. At first, it was like Natalya talking to Lana and Tamina.
Yep.
And I think
Naomi
Natty's just like bragging about just being the champion or whatever, and then Carmella constantly reminds us with this Money in the Bank thing that, hey, I'm still here with this, so you need to be watching out for me. And then, who else you said showed up?
No, but they come after the fact.
Oh, okay. And then, I guess Charlotte shows up, and I think Natalya said something slick to her, like...
she says, "Oh, did you break your daddy's heart
or
again?"
something. Yeah, as soon as she said daddy, I think she just pounced on her, and then that was just, a little brawl in the back there.
And then that's when you saw Becky Lynch and Naomi come out just to clear whoever else, is trying to jump in. So.
Mm-hmm. And then they led, I guess, Becky and Lynch and Carmella was already set for a match for that night.
Yeah.
We still see Ellsworth on the chain. I could care less about him. He's irrelevant to me. He's not even there.
No. Except to be interference for Carmella.
In a way. But you've noticed now that since he's been chained up, she's been losing.
That's true, too.
So maybe she may try to reverse her fortune, but I need to unchain you.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Let you loose now.
He might actually bring it up to him and be like, well, ever since you've had me on this leash,
he should.
You've been on a losing streak. So, so however they tried to feed into that. Obviously Becky Lynch makes light work of Carmella. The disarmor is just...
Oh, the disarmor.
Yeah, the disarmor.
I was thinking earlier in the match. That's what it's called, the Bexploder.
The Bexploder.
Disarmor is the submission.
Yep. The disarmor is the submission. So when she gets that arm and she rears back on it, that's what it is. But for the most part, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And then Becky Lynch with the easy win over Carmella. I mean, Carmella hasn't really done anything meaningful since the Money in the Bank. She did have a lot of stuff going for her around that season, but since then, she hasn't even attempted, she's tried, but she's not really, attempting to do anything with the cash-in just yet. Threaten them a little bit. Make them feel like, hey,
right,
I got this on, I'm still here. I want you to know that. So, but nothing really happened there.
And you know what? Now I'm just once again playing ideas with the situation. I feel like maybe they might do something because we know this Charlotte-Natalya rivalry is going to go, and I think when it comes to a head, that's when Carmella's going to bust.
Could be. Yeah. But I think she's going to pick her opportune time to do it, and I think when she does cashes in, she's going to be successful with her cash in.
Yeah.
So,
and it made me think it's just
because you can't have two Money in the Bank winners and neither one of them
nobody wins. Yeah, she has to win this one.
Yeah,
but like I was saying, it reminded me of Seth Rollins coming in at WrestleMania on the Brock.
Yeah, because he had his almost a year before he
exactly
because you keep it for a year. He was up to 300 something days or so with it before because his time was running out before he cashed it in. Yeah. So I guess it depends on how well. I mean, when she sees that moment to try to take advantage of it. Then we also just thrown at us just by promo that just popped up on the TV. We knew that Randy Orton, Shinsuke Nakamura were going to be tagging up against Aiden English and Rusev. Just on a promo, no build, no nothing. Just, hey, these guys are going to be in a match tonight. Way to go, WWE Creative.
They had to put them somewhere.
So then, I guess, let me just double check before I get to this too quick and just make sure try to follow the sequence of the show. KO and Sami Zayn. The moment all of us has just been kind of waiting for. I thought they would save this to the very end of the show, but they kind of brought it out beginning of the second hour.
Yeah.
So Kevin Owens just kind of goes over of how the match went, and he's just kind of like, I saw the white light, and I was in line to go to heaven, and then I wanted to cut the line because it was taking too long, and it was just kind of like it was revealed that SmackDown Live needed me. And that Sami Zayn is my guardian angel. Like, he was my guardian angel. And it's just kind of like, he wanted to make it clear that he had no idea that Sami Zayn was going to have anything to do with any of it,
Right.
So he did want to put his disclaimer out there because he was pretty much admitting that, hey, I was out of it. Like I had no idea. Like I'm seeing the white light and I'm just, trying to bring myself back.
But I like how he said that he's turning SmackDown into Kevin's heaven.
Kevin's heaven.
Oh my goodness.
Or the Kevin Owens or whatever. Yeah.
The KO show.
Yeah, so I did like that little spiel when he said Kevin's heaven. And we saw the ill effects from him with the bandages. Like I guess he's beat up and battered from that. And so then he comes out, calls out Sami Zayn. Now, if Sami Zayn is a heel, I just expect more of like heel.
Yeah, he came out happy.
He came out.
He's still doing his
bouncing around.
Let's go!
And he's just doing. I'm like, okay, well, maybe he'll be more of a heel when he's talking. And then he starts to talk, and he sounds exactly the same as a face.
But I mean,
he explained this.
Yeah, what he said made it heelish, I guess, to me.
Yeah. And kind of like I said on our Hell in a Cell review, it was just kind of like I kind of felt that probably would be the route he would go.
Right.
Like I'm tired of doing things
for everybody
else, and I'm trying to do it the right way. And I'm looking at Kevin and the success he's had.
But he said that KO's powerbomb opened his eyes. that was like,
yeah.
You beat the sense into me, Kevin. So
yeah, he said, when you powerbomb me on that apron, like the other week,
my eyes.
It really opened my eyes to see some things. And
Shane didn't use him like he deserved.
It needed to be used. And then I guess the conversation, how kind of like Shane brushed him off, like you said, that did have an effect on him.
Yeah,
it did. So it was just like. When he first came, Shane promised that he would get more respect and that Raw was misusing him, and which was true. And I guess he kind of wanted to throw a jab like, yeah, it's true, they were.
Yeah.
And it was just like, this is the land of opportunity. And when he said it comes down to it that, Shane didn't care about me. And I look at Kevin Owens. He's a former Intercontinental Champion. He's a former Universal Champion. He's a former
U.S. title.
U.S. Open. U.S. Champion. So, look at his career.
By not caring.
Look at where it's got him.
Yeah.
And then me caring about what all of you think, trying to do things the right way, trying to work my way up. Maybe in 5 years I'll be where I need to be. And it just didn't really work out for him. And he made it known too that, hey, Sammy, like he said, Kevin Owens is not like we've battled. Like he's like, And
he was like, I even wanted you to lose.
I wanted you to lose. I wanted Shane McMahon to win.
But he said when Kevin fell through the table the first time, he was like, Shane could have easily won.
Yeah, he let him know you were beat.
Yeah, he was like, but when he put you on the second one and he went up. That's when I knew that just like me, he didn't care about winning. He didn't care about the holding the McMahon legacy. All he did was care about himself and doing this for himself. And he just wanted to end your career just like he was doing for everyone. So I like that.
I like how he did articulate why he did it. He said, Kevin is my brother despite everything.
Yeah.
That's still my brother, and I saved my brother.
Yeah, he was like, you've been many things to me. You've been my best friend. Mm-hmm. You've been my rival. It's like, but no matter what, everything, the one thing you'll always be is my brother. I really like that.
Yeah.
Especially knowing their backline, real best friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and really, outside of wrestling, they're like true best friends. So it came down to that, and that's why he kind of explained as to why he did it, and so I don't know if this is going to be a faction between them but.
So would that put them in the tag team spot now? If they decide to play as a 2-man faction and just not one saying kind of like Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, just kind of one protects the other and vice versa.
That's how I think it might be. One protects the other. And it could be what we saw with Jericho and Owens, but it could be. But it's just something in the back of my mind feels like Sami Zayn is going to turn on Kevin Owens.
Because
I thought last night that was going to happen. Because you say, no, give it up for Kevin Owens. Yeah. No, give it up for Sami Zayn. And I thought when one of them would have like turned their back or something, Sami Zayn would have,
hit that
attacked them or whatever. I didn't think it was, because the way Sami Zayn was coming off, it just seemed like it was too cheesy to me. Like it was fake. Like he's going to do something different.
Right.
But it didn't. It never happened. So I said, well, maybe it's gonna stay with these two. But I really thought he was gonna like attack him or something, or trick him or whatever.
We'll find out. I feel like they might do the same run, like you say, with Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens, and get to the point where Kevin Owens is fully invested, like Chris Jericho was, and then somehow Sami Zayn finally blows him off or finishes that friendship again, and then they're back to being rivals. Mm-hmm. So, but only time will tell.
It will tell. It will tell.
Now for another multi-man match. Yeah. But go ahead.
No, anything else you had on the Zayn?
That's it.
And Owens. I thought it was pretty much what I thought it would be. Obviously, no Shane McMahon on SmackDown Live last night. So, I guess he's licking his wounds, and maybe he'll come back to confront Sami Zayn a little later down the line. I think he'll be probably gone for a couple weeks. He'll pop back in there.
That's what I feel. Maybe in a couple of weeks, but right now it's just now. But I guess he has to come back because now, even though they're a faction or whatever, they're best.
I wish this could segue. I really wish this could segue. Look, I'm you tonight. Segue to a Daniel Bryan return. Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
That'll be a good match, actually. But they won't do it.
You know what, Shane? I'm coming back. I've been medically cleared to come back. Yes. And it's going to be Shane versus, those two.
WWE won't let that happen.
They won't, because I don't know. I would love to see Daniel Bryan come back.
Yeah, but like I said, from what I've heard off of Wrestle Talk TV on YouTube, that, they really have no intentions on letting Daniel Bryan wrestle. And Daniel Bryan has already kind of expressed that when his contract is up, he's going to wrestle. If WWE won't allow him to, then he's already made jokes towards New Japan, towards what's the other one? I think New Japan is IGPW. Not NXT, TNA, but they're having their little thing. They might even break up by that time. But any indie market, he's made reference that he might go there. So.
Yeah, it could be, but we'll just have to see. But that's just something just fantasy wise. I would like to see him.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to see Daniel Bryan back in the wrestling.
Yep. So then again, a match that was just thrown at us. Randy Orton and Nakamura tagging once again for a second time in their careers versus Rusev and Aiden English.
Half of it makes sense. The Rusev and Aiden English.
I just didn't care.
But it's Randy and Shinsuke.
I didn't care.
Me too. I must
match. Rusev is still buried. He takes another pin fall.
Yeah, it is.
But
it's funny for me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off again. But even as much as they bury Rusev, make him be the butt pinfall, even out of singles or multi matches, he's still higher to me than Aiden English.
He is, but he just deserves so much more.
He does. He really does. I wish they would push him to some kind of title contendership now. Mm-hmm. And maybe since Shinsuke and Randy was the last two people that kind of have a championship match, and now they have this tag against Rusev and Aiden, maybe next week, which I'm sorry, but they make a fatal 4-way to see which one of them is going to be the contender.
Fatal 4-way.
I'm just telling. It's going to happen next week.
I'm going to drive to Connecticut, the WWE headquarters, and I'm going to burn it down.
It's going to happen, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm truly sorry, but I feel like just by putting the last two contenders into this quick match might be just a kind of an idea to be like, hey, well, Randy has been going on with Rusev. We're not really using Aiden, but his music gimmick and kind of his little partnership he has with Rusev might just be something that they can build off of and add to contenders for this Jinder Mahal's reign, which he wasn't there during SmackDown, which is due to the fact that they're now doing live Raw shows in India right now. So now India finally gets to see their modern day Maharaja, because he gets to see
his people, so he doesn't have to talk to them in his language.
They're all going to be talking the same language
because they're all in the same place. And he gets to bring the belt. They get to see it, and he gets to meet and greet. And,
I hope they're not as excited as WWE want them to be. Because I
want them to feel like, well, this is a waste.
Yeah, I want them to come back and be like, you know what, we really didn't have to
take the belt off him now.
Like, let's let him
get over here, pin him, Kinshasa.
Exactly. Next week, Raw championship match randomly in a 5-man elimination match. Like, it's just.
But yeah, man. So again, like no gender tonight. So, I mean,
we have this.
I guess
tag
the
match.
Meet and greet in India for him, the Canadian Indian. So, we're gonna put the whole title about a Canadian who's Indian roots, I guess. But
it's a great grandma.
Yeah. Yes. Sometimes it gets further down that family tree.
And that's like me. I'm just saying. Because my grandmother on my mother's side told me that I think her mother or her mother's mother was a full-blooded Cherokee Indian. Mm-hmm. So that's like me going to the WWE and they book me as a complete Indian. Like, that's literally
in his family.
Yeah.
That's where
you're now the Indian chief something wrestler. So
but it's like Samoa Joe being Samoa Joe. He's not Samoan.
Yeah, ain't he from Cali?
Yeah,
but I mean, technically, that's the same with Roman Reigns. He's from Florida,
but he's true Samoan.
Yeah, he is true Samoan.
Still, like, he's in that
Anoa'i family.
Yeah,
but I mean, because most of the Anoa'i family.
That's why Paul Heyman always hit at Samoa Joe was like, "You're not even, a real Samoan. You're just a runt or whatever. But want to be Samoan or something."
He's just really, like you said, he's just like he's a different. He's maybe not an off-breed, but he's just like a down the line off of a different heritage, because the Anoa'i family is really the royalty for Samoans in WWE, and really Samoa Joe is the only any kind of Samoa that isn't that family that come in here. Mm-hmm. So even Roman Reigns.
Yeah, Roman Reigns. You know, Tamina's in that family too.
The Anoa'i family, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember when Roman Reigns had that beef with Samoa Joe, he wouldn't call him Samoa Joe. He'd be like Samoa Joe.
Yeah, because you don't represent that, bro.
Yeah.
Like, nah, I'm not giving you that name. They can call you Samoa all day.
I bet his family was like, don't you call him Samoa Joe.
He's not.
Don't you do that.
That's a little runt. That's a little stray dog coming down the street.
You're partial.
So, no Mahal tonight. So, the Canadian. You like it? You like it?
I'll take that. Yeah,
the Canadian.
Jinder the Canadian.
So
I'm writing that down.
So then we get into Bobby Roode comes out with his glorious.
We missed the end of the match though. The Randy Orton.
Oh yeah. It wasn't irrelevant. So
it was a quick match.
Kinshasa to English and an RKO to Rusev, and that was it. That's it.
Took the pin, and that was
it. Move on to the next.
And then before the Bobby Roode promo, they had a commercial promo to show Luke Harper. And Eric Rowan. Right. Now repackaged. They're all looking like they're holding Thor hammers, and they're dark. I mean, to me, they're still kind of carrying the Wyatt family, but they're now making it their own thing now, because now they call themselves the Bludgeon Brothers, but they're still Luke Harper, they're still Eric Rowan. So, and they, like I said, they're carried. Even Eric Rowan still had the sheet mask from the Wyatt family. So I like that they didn't make them totally different. Like, they didn't try and bring them back as just like some kind of ascension or something like that. They kept them in the Wyatt kind of persona, just their own entity now. So I'm excited to see for Luke Harper. Eric Rowan to me wasn't really that great of a wrestler, but Luke Harper always surprised me when he wrestled. And even at a point where he was sticking with AJ Styles and in some matches, which when they did that Battle Royal, he won that match when both of them fell out the ring. But of course they couldn't let him win, so they had to do that whole rematch and whatnot. So. But yeah, go ahead. Now you can
you're
go
good.
back.
It's good to see them back. Maybe you could insert them in the tag team division too, just to have another team out there.
I hope so.
Yeah, so that'll be a good thing too. Maybe that Who's the New Day could
that
battle
could
with.
be.
They could target the New Day because remember they fought him at the compound one time, and the New Day went against Bray Wyatt and them.
Oh, that is right.
Yeah, so maybe they could hook those two teams back up together.
That was actually a good little segment.
Because Xavier Woods was scared for his life.
Yeah, it really was. They really sold Xavier being like, maybe we can do it.
I ain't laughing. I ain't joking. I ain't dancing. Like
this isn't funny anymore, guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we got Bobby Roode coming out in his glorious entrance in his robe and all that good stuff. Just kind of recapping what happened at Hell in a Cell. Bobby Roode did get the win over Ziggler. It was a tight one, as I said on Hell in a Cell review. It was a tight one, no pun intended there, but it was a tight one. And he had a bunch of roll-ups to where Roode got the best of Ziggler at the end there, and Ziggler attacked him at the end. Roode didn't take too light of him being attacked. And then he calls out Ziggler. Ziggler comes out. His music starts to play, and then it does the whole cutoff thing.
I like that he kept it.
Yeah, he kept that and just cuts it off. He walks out, no music, no Titantron video or anything, and then just kind of going at Bobby Roode for what he's saying about him, and he called Bobby Roode a cheater. Yeah. He was like, and I have the proof, like, you took the easy way out.
And I exposed you.
And he had it on the Titantron showing where Roode had the tights. And he said, you're just mad because I was smarter than you or something like that. Yeah. And he was outsmarted you.
I'm the smartest man.
I'm the smartest man out there. I'm the best in-ring performer there is. And, they were going back at it. And then Roode was just pretty much like, you finished complaining? Are you finished talking now? Or if you are, let's just come down in the ring. And we can go ahead and do a rematch. Let's go ahead and do it
right now.
Right here, right now.
Because Dolph wanted that rematch.
And Dolph wanted, so you want a rematch? You want me to come down there? And he's taking off his coat like he's going to come down there and walks toward the ring. And he's just like, nah, do it on my time or something like that.
I'm not going to do it in a place like
this. Or something like that. And he turns around and walks away. And that's pretty much it. So then we find out later, after it's over, that Daniel Bryan makes the rematch for next week on SmackDown, so we'll get to see Roode and Ziggler. Excuse me.
No, you're fine.
Oh,
man.
SmackDown.
It's funny because now, I'm starting to get annoyed with this feud now, just because of the lack of action.
It's not doing anything for Bobby Roode.
Yeah, it's really not. That's what's disappointing.
I like the Ziggler promos. He's doing really good.
Yeah, Ziggler's keeping himself really relevant. Before he
not
did
doing
this,
anything for Bobby Roode.
Yeah, before Ziggler did this, he was pretty irrelevant, and this is making good sense for him. But yeah, for as far as Bobby Roode is concerned, it's really dampering his introduction into the main roster for me. Mm-hmm. So they really just need to start putting them in. At least make them have some good quality matches, and then maybe Ziggler comes out and talks trash, and then Ziggler comes out and attacks him. It's just something else. Says this isn't working for me anymore.
Yeah, and then it moved on to the
the main event.
Main event, SmackDown Live. AJ Styles challenging for the United States Championship versus Baron Corbin, who won it at Hell in a Cell. Now, just to recap how Baron Corbin won it at Hell in a Cell, pretty much it was a triple threat match. It turned out to be a triple threat match, which Ty Dillinger found a way to insert himself into it by talking Daniel Bryan into making it a triple threat match by virtue of him pinning Corbin earlier, in a couple SmackDown Live, episodes ago. And then he got into the match, and it was pretty much him and AJ Styles doing some great stuff in the match. And at the end there, Styles pretty much got got Dillinger with the phenomenal forearm. And then Corbin comes back in the ring from the outside, is literally just
hit a phenomenal boot.
A phenomenal boot and just kick Styles out of the ring and just steals the pin over Dillinger to win the United States Championship.
That was a really nasty boot. Like, it looked like he stuffed AJ between the ropes.
Yeah, AJ actually got stuck and he had to kick him again to finally get him, like, get out of my ring. This is my moment. Move.
That was a pretty awesome move.
So, in this, they really did some good stuff, though. I mean, they had some promos before the match earlier in the night, and AJ just was saying how this is the house that AJ Styles built. And, you know, nobody's going to take, you know, my United States Championship from me, and blase, just saying what he would do to try to get it back.
Yeah.
And then Corbin had a little promo, too, saying this, you know, AJ always says this is the house that he built. This is going to be something he's going to put to shame. Or something. I forgot how he worked. Most time when Corbin talks, I don't really care. I hate to say that.
No, you're right.
But I really don't care. But he's a U.S. champion, so, I mean, he's in the main event here against Styles. Some of the points I had in this matchup was just the drop kick that AJ gave him that knocked him over the announce table.
I wrote, as a matter of fact, I wrote that down too, because it was like, you know, Baron Corbin was trying to do his usual slide out one end, come around the side.
And AJ called him.
Yeah.
And he just gave him a good old drop kick, and he just landed right over the announce table, right over there where Corey Graves and the rest of them were at.
Definitely.
So that was a huge part for me. That was a lethal drop kick there. Also, too, the knee buster that Styles did, kind of like when it's kind of like a AA, but it turns into
right into the knee,
and it looked like Styles really hurt his knee.
It really
on
did,
because Baron Corbin's a big dude,
exactly,
coming down,
and he didn't usually when AJ Styles does it, he catches like maybe the top of the shoulders, but he really caught Baron like in the middle of the back, kind of. So it was really the bulk of his weight versus
coming down on AJ's knee. Yeah.
So.
That looked like that hurt Styles for a minute there. It looked really nasty for AJ.
Definitely.
And then, obviously, when he got the cab crusher, like we were talking about earlier, and how Corbin just broke out of it. He just pretty much took his hand and just shoved AJ's back of his head down on the mat to break the cab crusher.
That made Baron look so strong to me. Like, that definitely made him look strong. Because
your legs bent back, but you had enough strength just to
shove his face, this back of his head to the ground.
His inner Braun Strowman came out there.
It did. It really did.
And then, what do we see? After that, somehow they ended up on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
And he just launched
AJ. tried to jump on him and he caught him. And
just launched AJ. And how AJ fell, I actually thought he was hurt there too.
Yeah.
Because he kind of laid there for a minute and his arm is just like turned in a weird direction. He's just laying there. I'm like,
for a second. Yeah, it was. If he wasn't really hurt or maybe has a possible concussion, AJ can sell the mess out of him.
He can, out of a move. And then it was like, okay, after he laid there for like 15, 20 seconds, they got him back in the ring.
Hit the end of days.
End of days. That end of days was...
That one was real nasty.
And that deep six that he did too. You know, the deep six when he grabs him, he spins around and then just drops him.
I like that move.
That was a nice move.
He really has to me, he has one of the best signature and finisher packages for me.
I like because the end of days you like, you just like, that's it. You're done. So AJ was out. Corbin retains his, and he didn't win by shortcut this time. He literally won.
No
like,
he beat shots, nothing.
Fair and square. No anything out of the ordinary. No cheapskate way out. He beat AJ Styles 1-on-1.
And honestly, I like their chemistry, honestly, because for me, like, they really had good chemistry in this match because they did a lot of reversals. Like, they read each other's moves, like you said, like how AJ caught him trying to go in and out. And it was another move I forgot AJ did, and Baron Corbin caught him ahead of time for it. So
I like how he had him in the corner, and he rammed.
Yeah.
He ran him into the post. He rammed Corbin into the post, and then he did. I've never seen him do a phenomenal forearm that short. Because usually he has to jump and lunge into you, but Corbin's already down, and he jumps off the rope and just like literally like from the rope to the bottom, he was just like right there on top of him and hit him with a quick phenomenal forearm there. So I've noticed he doesn't really use the Styles Clash anymore. No. That's still a move. I guess he does it on smaller people.
Yeah, because Baron Corbin's pretty big.
He's pretty big, so it's good to have a fallback move like that to bounce back off of.
He has really like 3 moves, really.
Yeah, the calf crusher, the
phenomenal forearm,
and
then the Styles Clash. Mm-hmm. And then if you want to add the 450 that he does, that's more of his just a signature.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but yeah, Corbin, he retains the U.S. title, and he is successfully defended his title. I mean, you were calling for him to lose it right back.
I did.
On this show, so he kept it,
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see how long his reign will be. I think Ty Dillinger is actually going to try to stake his claim. That makes sense. I think they may go with him and Dillinger since AJ's had his title shot. I think AJ's going to get back into the mainstream.
I hope so, and I would hope for rather the 4, like we said in the tag team, Shinsuke. Even though I know you said you don't feel like Shinsuke should drop down to the United States, but I feel like he deserves some kind of thing, and I think AJ's reign with the United States title has made the United States title bigger than what it is, bigger than a mid-card title for me. So I would be perfectly fine to see Shinsuke Nakamura versus Rusev or something for the United States title, or add Randy Orton into the picture. Like I just want to see a title change hands, and so to me, the United States title is the most relevant championship to me on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So besides the tag titles,
the Canadian has it. I mean,
the Canadian man, Jinder the Canadian.
Yep.
Maybe when he comes, like I said, hopefully when he comes back from India, they can exchange hands with this.
Hopefully.
But I've heard like it's going to be you said that last or at during our Hell in a Cell review that there's a possibility that he might hold it for WrestleMania and John Cena gets his 17 off of it. I hope not.
I hope not, but I mean,
unless they really do some real reconstruction with Jinder's abilities in ring, and so they can make that match worthwhile. Because if not, it's just going to be a whole bunch of John Cena dominance, Sin Brother interference, Jinder Mahal advantage until they gets into the bulk of the match. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, that pretty much wraps up SmackDown Live. Just to reiterate, I mean, what we talked about, and we heard Sami Zayn's reasoning for what he did. We saw Orton and Nakamura take on Aiden English and Rusev in a quick, easy victory for them. No Jinder Mahal. Saw Bobby Roode and Ziggler get into it. We found out that the number 1 contenders for the SmackDown Live tag titles, Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, will be facing the Usos pretty soon. I don't know if they're going to do that as a SmackDown match or at the next pay-per-view. We'll have to see where they go with that.
They should. I think if they make it just a SmackDown match, like you say, they still have more time to go against other tags, because maybe they do set up, maybe by them going through tags, they may set up for the Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, because while they're beating the contenders, Eric Rowan and them beat up the other people, or if they decide to make Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn a faction and put them in a tag hunt, they do the same thing. So
yeah. So that pretty much, and we saw Corbin retain his United States Championship over AJ Styles. So we'll see how his title reign will go in the upcoming weeks. And that's pretty much going to wrap up SmackDown Live, all of our coverage on the WWE. You got one more thing?
Rating.
Oh, our ratings. Sorry. I'm already trying to get out of WWE. My rating. Sorry, guys. My rating for SmackDown Live.
What you got?
4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. Why?
The only really good match on there was the AJ Styles
Baron Corbin. Okay.
And the rest of it just seemed like filler. I mean, Kevin Owens I mean, that I was intrigued to know what it was, but it was just like
there was no action.
There was no action behind it, and there was no shame to rebuttal what they did.
Right. It's kind of just a...
Yeah, it's just like, oh, this is why I did it. Okay, we're gone.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I did like the beginning with how Uso showed the New Day the respect and all that, and then we got that fatal 4-way with Gable and them. And then other than that, other than the Lynch and Carmella fight, I mean, there really wasn't
anything
much to really brag home. I really should drop it down to a 3.
Man. I like the 4.
The 4. I mean, it's not. It just really wasn't a good show for me.
Okay. My review, my rating, I meant, is 5 out of 10. And because I'm really hopeful now in the tag division, they really starting to actually use the tag division instead of the
it's gonna go back to the same thing again. You won't see.
I hope not, man.
You won't see them.
I'm hoping not, because I mean, now that they know that they're splitting up this Uso New Day thing because they can't continue to just milk this thing. I actually feel like they're gonna save that and make them battle each other again at WrestleMania. Like, so one of the two is going to hold it, or one of them is going to get it back, and the other is going to become contenders before WrestleMania. Because for SmackDown, that's the best thing they have, the best chemistry matchup. So I like what they're doing. The new, like I said, the tag team division, even adding Eric Rowan and Luke Harper back, and with the hope for me possibly that they maybe add Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in. Which, yeah, I agree. It's probably not going to happen. But, I mean, they have a 2-man faction now. I mean, why not use it? So, and I did like that the United States Championship match. Definitely, Baron Corbin is actually starting to prevail more as a wrestler for me. Mm-hmm. So I'm liking what that's becoming. And I'm hoping that, like you said, I agree with you. I hope AJ Styles goes back to the WWE contendership, and maybe they use Shinsuke and give him the U.S. title or something. I hope. I think
you should still keep Shinsuke where he is.
But he's never going to get the title then.
Maybe him and AJ Styles kind of work together to try to take down Mahal and the Singh brothers or something. But I think AJ's going to get pushed back to the top line again.
I'm hoping that, but I don't. That's a stretch for me to see Shinsuke and AJ team up to take out Jinder Mahal.
They put them as tag teams before, though.
But I mean, to just say, "Hey guys, we need to work together to take down Jinder, this evil monarchy, modern day Mahal."
Get rid of those two little Singh brothers, and you have a fair shot for either one of them to win it.
I guess.
Yeah.
But then Jinder's going to sneak out or something, so
he'll do something to get away.
As long as they're doing business.
Yeah, Canadian.
The Canadian.
Indy, I hope you're enjoying your native home countrymen coming back home with the WWE title.
Definitely.
And hopefully we don't have to suffer anymore in America.
Yeah.
With our wrestling.
Yeah, I hope he gives y'all the original.
Think a real champion should be.
Yeah.
So
sorry, guys. Love you guys. We're all united.
So that's gonna wrap things up for SmackDown Live. When we come back, we're going to get into some other sports. Going to update you on the MLB playoffs and how things are standing as we move toward the World Series. Some big things with NFL with Jerry Jones and the anthem code he has for his team, Cam Newton scrutiny, and the Jemele Hill suspension from ESPN. You listening to Sports Moods, 2 Moodies.
1 duty.
Sports. All right, welcome back to Sports Moves, guys. We're getting close to the end here. D Moody with C Moody here.
Yes, sir.
Right now, we're about to get into some in other sports. And right now, we're in the midst of the MLB playoffs right now. Marching toward the World Series right now. We already know that the Houston Astros have advanced to the American League Championship Series, defeating the Boston Red Sox in the American League Divisional Series 3-1. This is Houston's first appearance in the League Championship Series since 2005, when they went to the NLCS, where they advanced to the World Series to face the Chicago White Sox, where they lost that World Series to the White Sox. And then waiting to see who they're going to face in the ALCS. Right now, the Yankees and the Indians are in a Game 5 right now, deciding who's going to win this series. They're going to move on to the ALCS to face the Astros. Right now, a scoring update from there. It just gone final. The Bronx Bombers, the New York Yankees, win the series 3-2.
Okay.
They beat the Cleveland Indians 5-2 in Cleveland. Cleveland has been one of the best teams in baseball all year. They did go to the World Series last year, as we remember, where they lost to the Chicago Cubs. They were up 3-1 in that series and couldn't close it out to win the World Series. But now the Yankees are in the American League Championship Series versus the Houston Astros as we get down to the Final Four of baseball. On the National League side of things, we got the LA Dodgers already in the NLCS. They sweep the Diamondbacks 3-0, awaiting the winner of the Chicago Cubs, the defending World Series champions, and the Washington Nationals. Right now, that series is tied at 2 games apiece for the game-clinching Game 5, which will be coming on the next couple of days. Right now, that series is tied at 2 games apiece. The winner will move on to face the LA Dodgers in the NLCS for the right to go to the World Series. So we're getting down to the Final Four. I will say I'm pretty shocked that Cleveland did lose by virtue of them being one of the better teams in baseball this year. We did see Cleveland stretch out to a 20-game win streak at one point during the course of the season. And the Yankees and Aaron Judge and Joe Girardi going to be moving on, looking to go to another World Series for that historic franchise. So that's how things are looking right now in the MLB side of things. Another thing we kind of wanted to roll into. First off, I'm going to hit you off with the Cam Newton scrutiny from last week. With him, we do know he was being interviewed, prior to the game, going into this, into last week when he was going up against the Detroit Lions on their presser day, which is usually Wednesdays for most NFL teams. And the, reporter asked him about, Devin Funchess and his ability to run routes and things of that sort. And Cam just found it very humorous that a woman, speaking about football terms in the way that she was, like, hey, it's very weird to me to see that a woman is talking about routes. He didn't do it to me, my opinion,
how do you feel? And
I'll let you spiel into it. I took no disrespect to her in the way he said it. And this is why. It's just because he just found that he was amazed by it. Because you could tell how his reaction was like, wow. Like, it was like he was astonished by the fact that she knew what she knew.
Yeah.
And obviously, by her being a reporter, it's her job to ask questions. And I'm not saying women can't be knowledgeable about football. But in most cases, when it comes to sports, most women are, they know enough, but they don't know the fine details of how things go in the NFL. And for her to kind of bring that up, that was an amazement to Cam. And I use this analogy this week with people, when we were talking about it at work and just amongst other people I was discussing it with, it's just like, say that you're a man and your car breaks down on the side of the road or in a parking lot or wherever you are, and a woman walks up to you and she's like, well, I think that could be your alternator. I think you may need to put some antifreeze in your car, or put some oil in. You need an oil change right now because you're running low on oil right now. To hear women speak those terms, you would look and be like, wow, how do you know about that? And I think that's just how Cam took it. I don't think it was a disrespectful thing. I think the media kind of blew this up. But what got me was we're jumping all over Cam because of him saying this, but we got Donald Trump saying we can grab women or calling NFL players SOBs, and that's okay for him to say that. But when Cam is actually, in a way, she should have been flattered by what he said, if anything, because it wasn't in a disrespectful manner that I took it. Just listening at it several times over and over again, as much as they played it last week. But I did like the fact that he did come out, apologize for it. Did state that, hey, I have 2 daughters myself. I wouldn't want anybody to do or feel or treat them that way. So now they're trying to make him look like he's sexist. So It's just kind of like, Cam has always had a love-hate relationship with the media, but this is just one more thing for them to pin against him. What did you think about it?
Before I going on to your Donald Trump thing, in his campaign before his imminent election, he not only made that gesture, but he had a lot of scrutiny against women and minorities throughout his campaign. There wasn't just that one remark that's just a highlighted remark. There's actually plenty of times where he undermined women's efforts and then tried to make up for it, like half make up for it, basically, as well as with immigrants and of the minorities. So, but that's something we'll get onto in a different part. Mm-hmm. But for me, growing up, I was the only male child besides my grandfather, with me and my mother living with my grandparents. So I have my mother here and my grandmother, and my grandfather passed maybe when I was, I want to say 13. So besides him, around me, the majority of my time was those 2. Across the street was the other major part of my family, which was 3 women, my aunt and her 2 daughters, which they aren't immediate family, but because of our history of the families together, it makes them family. So for me, I grew up around a number of women in my life. None of them can talk to or can give any knowledge of sports. None of them. I'm not saying this to be sexist. I'm saying this because I grew up with 5 women that don't know sports. And the only reason one of my cousins across the street would watch is because, of course, she would go on who she thinks is cute. So that's the only reason that she found any enjoyment of watching football with me at any time in my life. Mm-hmm. So whenever I found or met a girl that knew sports or was excited about sports, it was shocking. It was different for me because, like I said, I grew up without that factor. Now, of course, can I use my family to depict every woman in America or the world? No. But I'm saying for him, he's not depicting every woman in America or the world. I don't know how Cam grew up or what people he was around, but for a lot of people, they can agree to say that it's not as common as we're pushing it to be to find women so knowledgeable and so passionate about these sports. I mean, we can argue about, we're making it a male-dominated league. I mean, it's a difference. We don't have a women's NFL. I mean, I've seen actual women in NFL, but it was a lingerie league, so it wasn't majority athleticism as far as just watching women for men's pleasure. So if anything, that would have been more sexist to me than somebody being excited. I think his his laughter in response to it was him being excited about it. And I agree with you. I don't see it being like, because there's definitely ways that you could have said it to berate a woman. Like he could have twisted his face and say, "You know anything about sports?" Like there's millions of ways he could have said it to berate this woman about her knowledge of sports. But he laughed and said, I didn't expect that from you, and it wasn't like he did it and said next question, because that could have been another way he could have subliminally was like, I'm not responding to this woman asking me this question like she knows anything. No, he answered the question. It's almost like a child. Like I read this story of this child coming up to a tennis player, and he knew all the stats about this person's career. And what did he do? He laughed, because he was like, wow, you know that much about me. You know that much about this sport. He didn't berate the child and be like, you're a child. You know how you know that. Get out of here. No, he laughed in excitement, the fact that he knew what he knew. And that's the only thing we can say in this situation. And if we want to turn this around, that's almost like if we went to a beauty pageant that deals with makeup, deals with nails, and a man came in there, Cam Newton came in there and talked about the difference of building the foundation under the eyes and the cheeks, or how to put the gloss and the coating on nails or something. A woman's going, they're going to make their expression back like, you know something about nails? Like they're shocked. That's not going to be. There's not going to be a reverse sexism lawsuit or controversy right there. It's just let him embrace. It really was an embracing moment for him in saying such.
That's what I was saying. She should have been flattered by it, if anything.
Right.
But she was just saying that I was just doing my job, and it wasn't. And he understood that, but I mean, it just took a moment, like, and maybe he didn't mean for the reaction to come across the way that it did.
Yeah.
But it was just, he was more.
It was
amazed
a natural response.
Yeah, it was just amazed. He was amazed by it. It was. I don't think he meant any harm by what he said or anything like that. He's like, just very weird to hear a woman talking about routes.
That's it.
That's like us going to a store with a woman picking out a great pair of heels for a woman. How do we know what heels are? We don't wear heels because we're not women.
Yeah.
Like, I think you should get those because those will, support your ankles better, or it's going to look really good with that dress that you have. Like, we don't know how to accessorize women's stuff. So, it's just like, so at that point, I just think we kind of overblew it, to the epic proportion when we have our president, commander-in-chief can say things of the natures that he says, and nothing. We turn the other cheek when it comes to him when he's saying the things that he says. But then when Cam just has an honest reaction to something, he gets punished for it.
And then made to apologize.
And
honestly, I saw that they said when the girl personally went up to him about it, he didn't apologize to her personally. And I still feel like it was the same manner. Like, he's apologizing because of the reaction from it.
Yeah.
Like, of course he didn't apologize to her because to him, he didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's like, it's almost like me giving a girl a flower and then I walk away and then she realizes she's allergic to that flower. But she gets mad at me and wants me to apologize. Like, that might be a bad example because, I am hurting you generally, so I should apologize, even though I didn't know. But, I'm just saying, basically, to him, it wasn't something that was hurtful. Like, it was him trying to be endearing to her. It's just, like you said, we just really blew it out of proportion. And he shouldn't have apologized for me. But I guess if she wanted to make it such a big deal, I feel like to close it all, I'm one that, I don't feel like something's right. But if it really does hurt you, okay, I'm sorry. Because that wasn't what isn't what I wanted from you. Mm-hmm. And maybe if he apologized to her personally, it wouldn't have blown up the way it is now. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, maybe he should have just apologized to her for the sole fact of just avoiding this social scrutiny that the media is trying to give him now for something that, like I said, is something we blew totally out of proportion.
Yeah, I really thought it was really blown out of proportion, for sure. But hopefully this is past him now. He did come out and make a public apology, so he's hopefully in the clear for now. So now we're going to move into, I did want to hit at this. Don't have. I'm gonna definitely going to get the information on it right here.
Well, you know what? Why you do that? Since like I said, since we're doing it in other sports, I just wanted to kind of mention it. Even though we're talking about Donald Trump and everything we're saying about him, this is more so about hockey. The hockey in the NHL season, which I don't think both of us are like as adamant about, but this is we're trying to be a sports show, so we're trying to at least give some information on everywhere. And recently, I think a day or two ago, the hockey champions, I'm trying to make sure who it was, so I won't say the wrong name, but they just visited the White House. Who was the last NHL champion?
Pittsburgh Penguins.
They just were welcomed into the White House. So I'm glad they had that moment, in general, because, the White House for all sports is supposed to be like a real endearing thing. This is supposed to be an honor to be able to sit with the president of the White House. And for other sports, they're not getting as scrutinized as football or basketball right now. So for NHL, to show some positivity, they deserve that honor because they are the NHL champions of recent times. And for the rest of the league, it's like I said, hockey has started. We see that the Bruins are currently in a match with the Avalanche 4-2. Avalanche are up in the third quarter right now. So just hitting that out. That's one of the top matches that's going on. Colorado Avalanche.
And I was going to say, in hockey, you had
Boston
to say
Bruins.
Period.
Third period. Okay. That's right. And then
I know that much about it. Not that knowledgeable on hockey.
Yeah.
But I do know they say periods.
Okay. Yeah. So another match that's going on, the New York Islanders are down 1-3 in the third period to the Anaheim Ducks. Mm-hmm. Okay, I had to make sure I said the right name because I have been messing up. And the other game that's currently going on right now is the Flames versus the LA Kings. That's all I wanted to give in NHL.
Just a little hockey. It's the first time ever on Sports Move.
Right?
A bit of hockey.
So
I also want to hit in another quick thing that's happening in sports. We do know the offensive line coach from the Miami Dolphins resigned as the Dolphins offensive line coach after a video of him snorting cocaine leaked out. So he is officially stepped down from that. And I actually had I won't say the pleasure, but I saw the video and it was very disturbing to see that. And there's got to be some major issues going on with him to be able to be, subjecting himself to those types of drugs like that. I do wish for him to hopefully get some kind of therapy, or I'm not saying he's strung out or addicted to it. I don't want to go that far into it, but I feel like for cocaine, that's one strong drug, so you have to have some type of connection to it more than just occasionally doing it. And then by you being an NFL coach, of the highest regard, in the position that you are, you're kind of teaching and coaching men.
Yeah.
And as soon as the players do it, they get suspended or they get banned or drug tests. Maybe we should start drug testing these coaches now.
You should. And in a show on Comedy Central called Dave Chappelle, The Chappelle Show, great man, the late great Rick James once said that cocaine is a heck of a drug.
It is. It is. And I feel like you should hold them to the same standard you do the
Definitely.
players.
In all seriousness, this is a really
and cocaine is a more of an egregious drug than weed, because we see a lot of NFL players get caught up with the weed, and which you shouldn't be doing any type of drugs when you're in that profession.
Right.
But as a coach, you shouldn't be able to, if you're going to hold your players to that standard, and as owners and commissioners, we're going to hold our players to that standard, maybe we need to drug test our coaches.
You have to be an example, especially being like you said, the overseers of this team by being head coaches and higher positions like that. So yeah, definitely. And I hope, like you said, I hope he actually does get some rehabilitation to whatever this, his problem with that is. And I'm hoping, maybe he was just a one-time offender and wanted to try it or something. I don't know. But either way, that's something that I hope he doesn't stay on. And I hope it is a one-time thing and gets his life back.
Yeah, I hope so. So the offense lose their offensive line coach. And your offensive line is a very important part of your team.
Definitely.
Making sure that unit is together. So it's a tough loss for them there. Also going to get into we're going to intertwine these two things together, the Jemele Hill suspension and the Jerry Jones anthem thing. Pretty much, if you don't know, Jemele Hill from ESPN was suspended for 2 weeks. Due to her second offense of social media conduct from ESPN, misconduct. Basically, she's been Trump bashing on social media, and then also she had some comments on Jerry Jones, as he was coming down on the Cowboys about, the rule of standing for the national anthem. A code that Jerry Jones says he had in place ever since last year. But what I was confused with about it, with the Jerry Jones side of it, okay, you say every player should stand, but weren't you just a couple weeks ago kneeling?
Keep going.
Yeah, kneeling with everybody else. But then now, a couple of weeks later, you want to show up and say, I think everybody should stand for the anthem. So you can't be on both sides of this issue. There's no middle ground here. Either you're pro or you're against, against it. So whatever the case is, and I honestly feel like Jemele Hill, I disagree with the suspension.
Of course.
Because I really feel like she should be able to speak her mind. She didn't use ESPN as a platform to do it. She did it on her own social Twitter account.
We can see if she said it on ESPN.
Yeah, I can see if she came on TV and said what she said, but she just tweeted it. I know she's has a lot of followers and she represents your company, obviously, yes. Anytime you're away from your job, you're a representation of your job. So, but at the end of the day, that's her personal opinion, and we do have the freedom of speech to say how we feel on certain issues. And it is very hypocritical of Jerry Jones to 1 week kneel with the rest of the guys and then come up and say, well, it's been a thing we've had in place since last year. If you had it in place last year, then a couple weeks ago, your team everybody would have been standing. While all the other teams around the league, when Trump said what he said, was kneeling or joining arms or locking arms, you wouldn't have been down there. You wouldn't have came down out of your press box because your team would have knew what your expectation was, that regardless of what everybody else is doing, you're going to stand. And then for them to be benched because of what their beliefs are, that has nothing to do with them signing a contract to play football for your franchise.
But you know what that showed for me is that when Jerry Jones did kneel, it wasn't for it wasn't for black racial injustice. It wasn't for the purpose of why everyone else was kneeling.
Sincere.
The purpose that Jerry Jones came down and kneeled was simply to tell Donald Trump, you can't tell me what to do. That's solely what that purpose was. Is that when Donald Trump made that remark last week to say that owner should fire that SOB that kneels and disrespects the flag, Jerry Jones was like, hey, I run my team, not you. And so if you're going to be mad at that, I'm going to come down and do it too. But then they get back on one accord and was like, you know what? Yeah, but I do agree. Like, everybody that disrespects the flag is, should be benched at least.
Yeah.
So it's like Jerry Jones basically saying, if I want to fire him, it's going to be my idea. Not your idea, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So I don't care if you are president because you don't have you have your millions, but I have my millions. So don't tell me what to do. I might fire him because I do agree.
At this point, it's a pissing contest between two rich men.
That's it, man.
And then when I look at it like that, it's even getting to the point. I'm gonna get back on Jemele Hill, but even like when I looked into what you told me earlier this week about the anthem mode on Madden now, It's an actual mode where you can make the player kneel.
Right.
Like, really, are we really going to the extreme with this? Like,
Yeah.
we're taking something that's just a peaceful protest and just really...
We're publicizing it.
Yeah, we're publicizing it now. So if Madden can make it a big deal on the game, like...
So are we going to protest Madden now?
Yeah, are we going to protest Madden for those who stand for the flag? I bet you're still going to go play your Madden game. You're still going to log in online and still play it, right?
I bet you if you kneel, your rating's going to go down for that game.
Yeah.
You're going to have
you
5
should be mad at
interceptions.
the makers of... Who's the maker of Madden?
I
EA?
have no idea. Yeah,
EA Sports. Maybe take a bash at them. Oh, they're putting an anthem mode on this, so I don't think you should buy Madden football games anymore.
But you know what? I think the purpose of that, maybe, I don't know, because like you said, that's stupid. Like you said, they're really just making money off of this.
Yeah, just making it
no longer about the purpose.
It's just gotten so far away from it.
Yeah.
And then this whole thing with Jemele Hill, like she's like, just from following her on ESPN all these years, like she's always going to say how she feels. That's just who
definitely.
she is. And she does it in a joking way, and sometimes she gets really serious with it, and she just goes in.
Right.
She always does it in a professional way, though, and when she's on TV.
Yeah.
But her Twitter account, that's her
Freedom
account
of
to
speech.
say what she wants to say.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you may not agree with it, but,
Right.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just saw before we started this earlier today, there was a quick video. Apparently, maybe TMZ, they caught Judge Mathis and asked him about Jemele Hill thing, and he was going on about that. That's her personal account. It has nothing to do with the professionalism of ESPN. And if ESPN continues to try and take actions about it, she can rightfully sue because it's an evasion of the constitutional right for her
and
freedom
she's
of
getting
speech.
a lot of support on it too, because Reverend Al Sharpton has supported her. Even Rosie O'Donnell supported, like, you're doing something that's not pertaining to my job. It's the same thing like Kaepernick.
Yeah.
In a way, he's just obviously he's using the football game at the national anthem to kneel, but then, since you kneel, we're gonna, what you love to do, what you have talent to do, we're gonna take that away from you.
And what's disrespectful about that aspect of it? Some of these
Something she went to school and has a degree in covering sports. You're gonna take her away because of her personal opinion of something.
Exactly. And for like Kaepernick, and I can say me and you are older than most of these current NFL, well, not all of them, but some of these younger people. So I can call them kids. I can feel comfortable calling some of these kids. But they're coming into the NFL, not finishing their degree in college. They're going in there with the sole purpose of this is their livelihood. They don't. Most of them don't have a plan B. Most of them. I mean, I don't know everybody's whole banking or financial plans, but for a lot of them, NFL is going to be their life. That's their purpose. And so, for the fact that you're going to strip them of that just because they want to show solidarity in a system that truly is injustice, it truly is discriminated, it truly is a superior inferior balance beam right now, and we're not going to address the problem, but we're going to scrutinize you for admitting the problem.
And I mean, just hearing Eminem's
I wanted to say that too.
Yeah, what he went off last night on that.
I haven't seen Trump tweeted that.
Oh, he didn't say anything about that, did
I
he?
haven't seen that.
And that was more egregious than anything.
Very blunt.
Yeah, very blunt and to the point. And then also too, I want to give a salute to Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Of the
what is this? I think
Michael Smith. I'm sorry,
Smith.
Mike Smith. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said. I know. It was
Finally, you do it one time.
Yeah, I finally messed up. That's my mess up tonight. I'm sorry, Michael Smith. I love everything you do with ESPN. Michael Smith actually sat out one episode of SportsCenter.
Yeah.
Because him and Jemele has the 6:00 SportsCenter slot. And he sat out due to it.
And like
being suspended.
And you were telling me this earlier before we started as well. Like, Michael and Jemele truly have a friendship. This isn't just like two people put together to do a show. Like,
they actually go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, they all the way past his and hers and everything. If you ever listen at their backstory about how at one time they were actually thought they were going to date at one time. That's how close they were in terms of that, and just knowing each other through the years. So I guess that's his way of supporting her. And that's just like if something were like, let's say if we were to make it mainstream and you stand for something or you say something on your social media,
right? And
then they say, well, you can't come to the show for 2 weeks. Well, you're a part of what I do, so I need you to do what I do.
Right.
So I'm going to sit out too. Like if he can't be here, then obviously you don't need me here too.
Right.
Because I think it's unfair that she's being judged for something she said on her personal account. It's like you almost can't even have personal feelings anymore. You're just supposed to just ignore what's right in front of your face.
And you know what? This is sexist.
But our president can get on there. He's actually bashed Jemele Hill a couple of times in some of his tweets about her.
And
he's focusing on sportscasters instead of focusing on what's going on in Puerto Rico.
There's a tweet that Donald Trump made amidst that, and his tweet was, with Jemele Hill at the mic. Let me. I want you, since you can't see the tweet, I want to spell this word when he says at the mic. He's M-I-K-E. Now, the abbreviation for microphone is M-I-C. For the entire word, M-I-C-R-O-P-H-O-N-E. Mm-hmm. So he's not even using the correct term mic.
You don't have so much characters though. So anyway, but M-I-C would be a lot shorter than M-I-K-E.
M-I-K-E. So he says it is no wonder ESPN's ratings have quote unquote tanked. In fact, tanked so badly it is the talk of the industry.
You know why ESPN's ratings has tanked? Because they pretty much laid off more than half of their staff. I mean, they've let go a lot of really good workers all over ESPN. Yeah. Jay Crawford, I mean, just to name one. I mean, a lot of them. Ed Warder, like really good reporters, really good people who did really good things with ESPN. They are no longer there anymore because they laid them off. That's why the ratings went down. It's nothing to do with Jemele Hill. Because she's one of the few people that I watch on ESPN. Her and Michael Smith. But Trump is just, he's going to say what he's going to say, but nobody else can have a rebuttal for what he does or what his actions are. Or nobody can really truly speak. Anybody on a, celebrity or somebody who has a high position within, society can't speak out or say anything, right. It's unfair that you get to use your high exalted position to use this as a way to, say what you want to say toward that.
And it's funny, like as you were saying that, I was still going across Twitter and I found something that is this new thing that's going on right now. It's 5 hours ago. Apparently, Sean Combs, that we know as P. Diddy, has suggested and made tweets that he wants to own the NFL. And I'm going to read a couple of his tweets. He said he did have a dream to own an NFL team, but now my dream is to own our own league. A league where you can be yourself, have a retirement plan, have freedom to be a great human and protest for your people without being demonized for your beliefs as a king. New dream alert. Now, how progressive that can really be, I don't know. I don't know Diddy's budget, but I mean, Diddy has been a very pivotal person in the last few decades with, Biggie and still doing Bad Boy Records, doing he had a clothing line. I forgot what the clothing line was.
I know he's got Ciroc.
Sean John,
Ciroc.
So, I don't know how imminent that can really be, but just just saying that it's showing how much heavyweight people are really just going against this whole scrutiny of having your own personality or just. And for one, I keep having to go back to it. The purpose of this was not to say, in quote unquote, F America. This isn't to say I don't like, we don't like America. The purpose is to say, hey, America's doing some wrong things and it can no longer be
ignored.
Pushed under the rug. Mm-hmm. It has to be, because now people are dying. It started because of police brutality, and racial injustice due to police brutality, even going before it with the whole George Zimmerman, which was the first mainstream thing that's just pushed everything. George Zimmerman shooting and killing an innocent Trayvon Martin. It's just like we forget that that's the purpose of this. The purpose isn't to say, hey, we don't like everything, we don't like this, we don't like that. It's to say that there is wrong in this country that's supposed to be for everybody, and it's not. So for this country to still be glorified as something that's not doing its own, not holding its own end to what it claims to be, it has to be addressed. And that's all that this whole thing started. But because we still have racism, because we still have bigots, we still have these blatant racist people. The fact of the matter that the KKK is still alive and a thriving organization should say a lot about what America is. Like, before anybody says that racism in America isn't real, just realize we have the KKK still in 2017. We still have people who wear white robes. Like, go as far as to wear the white robes and pitch torch, and we have all this going on, and where we act like racism isn't real. And so the fact that we as black people are addressing it, because the black people are the butt of this joke that is the America standards, like we're getting punished for saying it. That's almost like, I try to give a good example about stuff. It's almost like it's a teacher of a class, and all these kids are doing something they shouldn't be doing something wrong. And one kid finally goes and say, hey, all these kids are doing wrong, teacher. Can you fix it? Can you get them in line? And you punish the student who's trying to just address that there's a whole class of doing wrong. And that's what America is, man. I mean, not to go so far as to talk about the history of where we come from. The fact of the matter that I guess I have to get into it. I'm sorry. I try not to drag this on, but the America itself, the birth of this country, the birth of this flag, the national anthem, July the 4th, Independence Day, all of these things were done during a time where black people were either slaves, segregated, or all of it unanimously, black people was the inferior race in this country. During all these things now that we annually celebrate. But when we say that, when we address that, that's the part of history that we have to get over as black people. We have to ignore as black people and say that, well, you weren't a part of it. Why is it so important to you? And it's really just so hypocritical. It's embarrassing as a country to see how much racism really just runs this country. Our country has been built off of racism, and the country continues to thrive solely off of racism. And yeah, that's it. Man.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And it's just like now people are being punished for having an opinion, pretty much, about it. So it's just like, hey, you're going to get suspended for your job for 2 weeks because of what you said. Or you're not going to be able to play in the NFL. No team is going to want to sign you because you kneel all the time. You don't appreciate the flag. But they're just pretty much saying that I don't agree with the way the country is, and for the values that you say we're supposed to stand for as a nation. But if that's the case, then why is it that this particular set of people, whether it's black, African Americans, or being brutalized by police, and innocent lives are being lost due to the militarized police force that they have with a black man? If you're that fearful of a black man, at the end of the day, if he's no threat to you, why does he lose his life? Just because he's a black man? I've seen where innocent black men get killed and their hands are up, and they're showing you that, hey, I'm not a threat to you. Yeah. My hands are up, and they still lose their life because of that. So basically that's what they're doing. They're stepping outside of who they are as a established, well-known person within the United States, whether it be NFL or through ESPN, and they use that platform to be a voice of the people who don't have a voice, to get through to the mainstream, to get through to the media, to say we stand against this. But that's just how I feel about it.
Can I add one last thing?
Mm-hmm.
It just made me think about it. I watched this video, and I feel like in general the idea was a very dangerous video, but it was to make a point. Mm-hmm. It was an open carry state, and they wanted to show the police reaction to a white man walking down the street with an AR-15 strapped to his back versus a black man walking down the street with an AR-15 strapped to his back. Mm-hmm. So they, of course, showed the white person first, and the police officer just casually walked up to him and just asked him, "Why are you carrying, this assault rifle?" And not only that, we also asked that what was going on, basically just trying to ask them to put it down or whatever. So, but when it got to the black person carrying the assault rifle, the police didn't even approach him. The police just dropped pulled up the van close to him, not even close to him, maybe like 10 feet out, and immediately just got out the car, guns ablaze, telling him to get on the ground. You're just yelling at him, get on the ground. They arrested him, made him put his hands behind the back. Well, made him take off the gun, took the strap off of him, arrested him, pulled him up and pulled him to the side, and then got another police officer. They pretty much had like 3 police cars all together. Someone else came to confiscate the AR-15, and then they finally went on about it. But just showing the difference in between whites and black people, just in general, that's what it is, and that's what we are afraid to address. Even now, we have so much other things that that we can address and we can publicize and have pride in. Like, I mean, I don't want to get into too many things and cause even more controversy than what it is, but that's the sole purpose of what it is between black and white.
Mm-hmm. That's basically what it comes down to. So hopefully within a 2-week time frame, we'll be able to see Jemele Hill come back on, and hope they may try to make her do an apology or something when she comes back. I hope she doesn't. Yeah, I hope she doesn't, but they may try to make her get on public TV and apologize. Well, hopefully she still gets to keep her job, because they must understand that she's very important to what they do at ESPN, but I just don't agree with it. But that was just some of the stuff we got in other sports. So we're going to come back right quick. We're going to hit up with our NFL Week 6 picks of who we think is going to take these games in Week 6 of the NFL. This is Sports Moods, 2 Moodies,
1 Duty.
Sports.
We'll be right back. What's going on, guys? We are back here. C Moody with
D Moody.
Sports Moves, 2 Moodies,
1 Duty.
Sports. We are finishing up this week's podcasting. We've touch from everything as the usual. NFL Week 5 recap, NCAA college football Week 6 recap, the rankings of the week for NCAA, as well as our Heisman High Five, the hopefuls for this year's Heisman Award. We got into WWE, hitting up Monday Night Raw and Tuesday Smackdown Live. Then we got into In Other Sports, talking about the MLB Playoffs, the situation, the controversy with Cam Newton, a little bit of NHL, how their season's starting off, the resigning of the Miami Dolphins coach. And then we got on to the controversy between Jemele Hill and Trump, as well as Jerry Jones with Trump, and his protest and his standing against the whole kneeling situation. But now we're going to end this with our NFL Week 6 upcoming predictions. If, like I said, if you aren't keeping tallies beforehand, Derek has been making a phenomenal comeback, unfortunately, on my record at 45-32 now, with last week having a resounding 10-4. But I'm holding on, even though I had a bad week at 8-6, but I'm holding on at top at 48-29. And he claimed earlier that this week might be the week that I'm going down, and it's going to be.
It might be. I said this is the week.
Okay.
So I'm just kidding.
So without further ado, man, we're going to go ahead and try to knock this out. The first match is going to be Thursday Night Football tomorrow night. We have the Philly Eagles versus the Carolina Panthers at Carolina. It's 4-1, both teams. Who do you have?
Carolina. I like Philadelphia and what they're doing just by virtue of Carolina being at home. I think they'll do just enough to get by to win. Their defense could give Carson Wentz some trouble.
Yeah.
Cam Newton, is finding a good new target in Devin Funchess. A lot of teams haven't had an answer for him just yet. Kelvin Benjamin is getting to get a good development going over the last couple of weeks since he's returned. This is probably the best he's played since he's returned from that injury during the Panthers Super Bowl season. So I'm going to go with the Panthers to win this one.
Yeah, I'm definitely going Eagles.
You're going Philly, okay.
I'm going Philly, man.
Okay.
I like what the Eagles are doing. I do like the Panthers. I do like you said, what Cam Newton is doing. They're actually starting to make a really good comeback. Only lost one game of the season, but the Eagles only lost one too. And I feel like this would be a good test for the Eagles. And I just see that. I see them pulling it out. I'm hoping in Carson Wentz, and that's what I got. That's pretty much all I can say, man. That's all I got.
Who's your next game?
The next game I have on my list is the Rams going to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars.
Tough. Jacksonville's tough. And I think I took Jacksonville.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough, but I just like what they've been doing. They've been that weird team that just seems to do it.
And when they do it, it's dominating.
It's like in dominating fashion. So I'm not betting against them this week. I hate to go against the Rams, but
how do you think I feel?
Fool me once type of scenario. So I'm gonna go with Jacksonville.
Yeah. How you think I feel? Because I'm going with Jacksonville too. I'm really
going against your boys.
I don't want to. I really don't. But like it says, as much as Jacksonville has been performing, even though sometimes it seems like they're going up and down with their performance, I feel like this might be. Just as I don't feel like it's going to be as convincing as other games, possibly. Mm-hmm. But I mean, either way, I still feel like they're pulling it out.
Okay.
Next game I have Pittsburgh Steelers 3-2 going to Kansas City to play the undefeated Chiefs. I'm gonna tell you now, I'm just going Kansas City. They're just admitting it now, especially with Ben Roethlisberger already acting like he's at the end of his road. And I didn't remember like how you said that he almost was about to retire last year.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
he acts like he's kind of on his way out. I wouldn't be surprised he sticks around the next 2 or 3 years. But I actually this week went with Pittsburgh.
You are going with Pittsburgh. Wow.
And I know this is a stretch of a pick, but I just feel like Pittsburgh can give them some issues. I do. I mean, given the fact that Pittsburgh has been up and down. 1 week they look strong, the next week they don't. you got to have a bounce back game from a 5-interception game.
Yeah.
You got to come back, and I think if anybody can bounce back and turn it around, it is Big Ben. It's been a rough couple of weeks there, we know, with the Antonio Brown thing, and then this week with Ben. So I think this week Kansas City gets that first loss.
Nah.
Okay.
So
all right, we'll see.
Yeah. Next game we have Miami Dolphins 2-2 going into Atlanta. Play the Dirty Birds, the Atlanta Falcons that are 3-1 currently.
Going to Atlanta.
Yeah.
To get this.
I agree.
I don't really see Jay Cutler going toe to toe with Matt Ryan. You don't have the weapons. Don't know if Devontae Parker's going to be available this week or not. I just see Julio and the gang getting back healthy and doing what they need to do to win.
Yeah, definitely.
Coming off the bye week, they're well rested. They've had an extra week to prepare for this game, especially coming off a loss to Buffalo. So Atlanta's going to win.
Yeah, I agree. Next game, we have Chicago Bears versus the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Ravens are 3-2. The Bears are 1-4.
I'm going to go with Baltimore.
Going with Baltimore.
Just the Bears. I like Trubisky and what he's doing. Other than that bad interception he had late in the game, in the Monday Night Football game, but I just think the Ravens just have a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. And I like Joe Flacco as it is.
I'm not
even
a
though
Joe Flacco person.
I know you're not. I know you wouldn't put your trust in him, but I still. Joe Flacco is like the second under Phillip Rivers for me as being just a seasoned great quarterback. So, I mean, I can't bet against him in too many games.
Okay.
So, that's why I'm giving it to him. Next, we got Green Bay Packers going into Minnesota to play the Vikings. The Green Bay is currently 4-1. Minnesota is 3-2.
I'm going to go Green Bay.
Going to go Green Bay.
And Rodgers, it's hard to bet against that guy.
Yeah.
Especially after his performance against Dallas. I just think Green Bay's looking pretty good right now from his standpoint. They have dealt with a lot of injuries here and there, but looks like they're still trying to keep it all together and hold it. And Minnesota's pretty tough. Keenum's doing some good things. I just don't think they have enough initially to beat Green Bay.
Yeah, me neither. I definitely don't see it. So I'm going with Aaron Rodgers. I don't bet too much against many quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is one I definitely wouldn't bet across.
Gotcha.
Next game we have Detroit Lions with or without Matthew. I'm not totally sure, but they're going into New Orleans to play the Saints. Saints are currently 2-2 while the Detroit Lions are 3-2.
New Orleans.
Going Detroit, man.
Matthew.
I'm going
I think
Detroit.
Drew Brees them coming off a bye week, extra rest. They're on a roll. Like, they started 0-2. They've won the last two. Now they've let Adrian Peterson go. So now that's probably a distraction that they felt like they need to go ahead and remove because he's not fitting in very well to what they were doing. Drew Brees, I think he'll have a pretty good game. Willie Snead may be back for them as well. So I'm going Saints.
I'm going Lions. If Matthew Stafford, it would have been a more convincing go for me with Detroit. I don't know who their backup QB is, but I still have hopes in their defense because they have shown good signs of being able to cover offense.
Earlier, but
I really did. I mean, I didn't like their performance this week, but yeah, I would definitely blame them before I blame Matthew right now.
Okay,
but I think that they could manage and hold the rest of the Saints, not Drew Brees, but the rest of the Saints. So, and if depending on the quarterback who comes in for Detroit, it may be a struggle, but I feel like the defense will win this for Detroit regardless.
Okay.
So, next game we have a match between two tied at 3-2. The New England Patriots going into New York to play the Jets. Jets.
New England. He's going to win now. The Jets are on a roll. They've won 3 in a row. Patriots have not played their best football game yet. They haven't really put together a solid game on both sides of the ball in the same game.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking this is going to be that game for them.
Yeah. As much as I want to be the advocate of and just go against them, I can't. Once again, Tom Brady is a quarterback that I won't bet against in too many games. So I got to give it to New England. Next match, San Francisco 49ers going into Washington to play the Redskins. The 49ers are currently winless, 0-5, going against a 2-2 team in Washington.
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 Coming off the bye week. San Francisco, I like what they're doing. They got some good young talent there. I thought they had a really good chance of winning that game versus the Colts this past week. But going up against a well-rested team in Washington who's coming off that bye week, doing some good things. So I'm going to go with the Redskins here.
Yeah, I'll admit I'm going with the Redskins.
You're going to go with Redskins too?
Yeah.
I don't want to bet against Kirk Cousins in this matchup.
Yeah.
I think he'll do enough to get the win.
At least against the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying it's going to be a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly,
not a pushover for sure. But
they've shown that they have it. They're just still missing a few
Mm-hmm.
things that they need.
Mm-hmm.
Next game, we have Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into Arizona to play the Cardinals. Arizona's 2-3. Bucks are 2-2.
This is a tough one for me. Since Adrian Peterson is coming, I'm anxious to see how he's going to fit in. I don't think he'll have a big impact just yet.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Arizona.
Okay. Going to Bucks.
On Tampa.
Even though I like what they're doing in Arizona, they have some good games, but they haven't showed any true separation of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
All their matches that they won have been in very close fashion. I think they've been in overtime twice now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, but either way, I just feel like Jameis Winston can beat their defense definitely. That's going to make the difference. I don't know about the Bucs defense in response to Larry Fitzgerald, which I think Larry Fitzgerald and Adrian Peterson will make the difference on Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
But I like you said, I don't know if he'll make an impact so early coming there. So I'm giving it to the Bucs. I'm just going to go that route.
Okay.
So next we have the LA Chargers going into Oakland to play the Oakland Raiders.
And Carr is supposed to be back this week. I don't know what he's going to look like going into this. But the Chargers coming off that win. The Chargers is a dangerous team.
Yeah.
Derek Carr is not 100%.
I can admit I'm torn right now.
I'm torn on this too. I want to see the Chargers get a couple wins under their belt. I'm going to go with Raiders.
Going Raiders. I don't want to bet against the Raiders right now. I mean, especially I feel like the Raiders are still a solid team, but they have been showing really just a lack in effort. Even with Carr being there before he got injured, it didn't make a difference. And Phillip Rivers, their team is starting to click, even though they just got one win. You know, it's not like they've been the blowout team or a wasted team. So as much as I want to go Oakland, I think I'm gonna take a risk and go LA this game.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Next, we have New York Giants going into Denver to play the 3-1 Denver Broncos. The Giants are the other winless team, 0-5. Denver.
I mean, they lost pretty much all their receiving core last week. Odell's out. Brandon Marshall, Shepard. It's going to be tough for Eli, especially going up against that Denver defense.
Yeah, with that being said, I'm definitely going Denver too. Like I said, the defense is still so dominant. Even with the...
And then your running game with Anderson and what Simeon's doing. So I think Denver will take that.
And that's the primetime show for Sunday. That's 8:30.
Okay, that's the Sunday night game?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have Monday Night Football. Indianapolis Colts going into Tennessee to play the Titans. Both teams are 2-3.
Depends on if Mariota comes back. And if he doesn't come back, I think Indy can win this.
You're going Indianapolis?
It's just so hard to know because a lot of times they don't really say, what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Indy.
You're going Indy.
I know that's probably not going to be a good pick, but I hope Mariota's back by then. But if he's not, then...
Where's Andrew Luck right now?
He's still practicing, but he's just not been officially put back into the lineup yet. So
On the safe side, because honestly, I thought you were going to go Titans and I was going to go Colts to risk it. Mm-hmm. But since you agree with me, I'm not going to switch just to be vain. I'm going to stick with the Colts too.
Let's see where the Indy to win.
Yeah.
Okay. So. All right, so we got our picks going. Hopefully this week we can see, if a shift of power is coming in.
This is the week, man.
3-game lead right now, so this could really make or break either one of us. CJ could extend his lead out further if I go on a losing streak, or if CJ goes on a losing streak, I could take him.
Yep.
So we'll just have to see how it all turns out. It is some tricky games this week, so I'm anxious to see how they're going to turn out, and everything.
Yeah.
So
we went against each other on 5 games. So
yeah, so that could be the difference of,
for either me getting a 5-game spread out or you coming up 2 games.
Yep, could be. We'll have to see how it all turns out. Again, as always, guys, thank y'all so much for listening to us. Thanks for all the support, for the following us on Twitter and Instagram, and listening to us every week. Give us your feedback. Let us know how we're doing, what we can get better at. We just appreciate everybody.
And also
giving us that support.
Definitely. Also, it shows us a little bit of analytics of where they're watching it from. And this past week, we've seen a number of people, not a number, it just shows the percentage of where, not how many from whom, but it shows that we have viewers in Colombia this past week and in Milton, Canada. So for us to reach from little old South Carolina to see it Canada, we truly appreciate it. We hope that you enjoy us and you continue and spread the word throughout Canada, wherever your friends are, so you can continue watching us and we can continue to grow. And we also still want feedback. We want to know, we can definitely do better. Especially how I did with names. Give me a list of how to pronounce names. That can be the task for me for next week. But yeah, any kind of feedback, man, what you want us to talk about, because there's definitely there's more sports all around. So whatever you want to talk about, we appreciate it. And we just hope that you continue to support, not only listening to the podcast, follow us on Instagram at It's Sports Moods on Instagram, and follow us on Twitter at Sports Moods on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So once again, we appreciate you guys.
All right. This has been Sports Moods, 2 Moodies.
1 Duty.
Sports. We'll see you guys next week.
Yes, sir. We out.